Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Thank you for tuning in. 22 minutes before 11 o'clock. You might be wondering, why am I playing classical music? Because we have a classical musician on the phone, Robin, and he's coming to our area. Was he in New York right now?
Yes, he is.
Julian Bliss is on the phone, and somewhere in this piece that I'm listening to right now is Julian. I think he's waiting for his part there. Julian is a musician, obviously. He's one of the world's finest clarinetists, Robin, excelling as a concerto soloist, chamber musician, jazz artist, masterclass lender, a musical explorer, and the founder of the Julian Bliss Septet. He's doing a show in the Villages at the Sharon L. Morris Performing Arts Center on the 27th at 7 p.m., and it's called A Tribute to Benny Goodman. Oh, I should have picked some Benny Goodman music for this piece right here, right? Well, that didn't work out as a good suggestion right there to use. Julian Bliss, good morning. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Good morning. How you doing?
I picked a bad piece for you. I should have got some Benny Goodman music. Where are you? You're in New York right now?
Upstate New York in Potsdam at the moment. We have a show here this evening. Mozart, that's a great piece, but very different to what we're going to be playing down in the Villages.
Is that right? And is that the way it is for you? I mean, one show will be one style and another one? Or is your whole tour this year, is it all Benny Goodman?
So personally, I do quite a variety of things. Most of what I do actually is classical, but I do a huge amount of jazz as well, actually. And so I have a band of guys. We're all from the UK, and we fly out here once a year, maybe once every other year, and do a tour of say 9 or so concerts in all sorts of different places. And on these tours, it is entirely jazz through and through, which is a huge amount of fun, and it's been a great tour so far. So
what is it like when you do jazz? I'm going to tell you something, and I might be completely wrong. I always heard that if you are with the Mozart kind of piece we just heard, that you have to follow it by the book. But if you're in a jazz piece, you can take liberties. You can be free to explore some notes that might not be on the paper. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes, that's pretty much it. With classical, you have the notes on the page are what you are supposed to play, and if you don't play what's on the page, then it's considered very wrong and quite noticeable.
Right.
Whereas in jazz, there's been so many different interpretations that there isn't really, I mean, there is in some ways, but there isn't really a wrong way of doing it, which opens you up to there's a lot of freedom, which is a really nice thing to be able to explore. Obviously, when we do our gigs, there's 7 of us. If we all did something different, it wouldn't sound kind of homogenous. So we have a plan of what we would like to do, but then often each player will take solos, and that is their chance just to completely improvise on whatever comes out. It's different every single day. So there are a lot of similarities, funny enough, between the two genres, but then there are a couple of differences.
Do you have a lot of younger people in your audience, say like the 20 to 30-year-olds that are starting to embrace this music since it was their grandparents' music?
We've had a huge age range. We've already done a couple of concerts on this tour, and in previous tours, I mean, a lot of the time, I have a number of students coming up to me who've played even for a year or for 3 years, or people. And on the other side, there's people coming to these concerts that grew up themselves with this music. So it's really nice to be able to play for a wide range of people, and they all get something different out of it. For a lot of these young players, this is very new new music, and for others it brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah, I'm looking at your picture. You don't look that old yourself. How did this happen for you? How did you become attracted to this kind of music?
Well, I'm 29 at the moment, and some of the band. I'm not the youngest in the band, actually. The drummer is the youngest. He's only 28.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of us at about this age, and then there are some others that are slightly older. So we have a nice, even within the band, we have a nice age range of different kind of interpretation in some ways, and it makes a really nice dynamic. But I came at it. I'd listened to jazz for quite a while, but being a classical musician, never really thought about doing it myself. Until I was putting together a project that would really kind of cross the boundaries between jazz and classical. And I started to think to myself, well, why not? And the more I thought about it, the more I was interested in exploring the jazz side. Is
that right? So tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you first pick up a musical instrument, and was the clarinet your first?
So I started music 26 years ago when I was only 4.
Okay.
And,
wow.
Yeah, I come from a predominantly non-musical family, so it was very out of the blue and very, it wasn't out of the ordinary. And I just decided one day, according to my parents, that I wanted to play music. And they didn't really know what to do, really. So in the beginning, they gave me a recorder to play. I played for a short amount of time, and then expressed an interest in wanting to play something else. And very simply, they took me to the local music school and let me try every instrument under the sun. And who? Honestly, within a couple of minutes of trying the clarinet, I decided that that's exactly what I wanted to play.
And what kind of a kid were you? Were you a shy kid, or were you an outgoing kid? Were sports of an interest to you, or did you guys? I mean, was music pretty much all you wanted to do?
Music was pretty much it for me. I mean, it was what I enjoyed the most over anything else, and any spare moment I had, I would be playing, and that was really what I enjoyed. I guess the kind of creative side. Obviously, as a kid, there was no thought of a career at all, and in some ways, it just kind of happened. Yeah, I loved it, and to be able to then turn that into my career is a real privilege, you know.
You're on tour in the United States, and you've been on tour in the UK, and you're going back there. How do the audience over there embrace you, like here?
Over here, it is slightly different, you know. I find American audiences tend to. It's hard to put your finger on exactly what it is, but it does depend on where you play. And over here, we're playing in concert halls compared to jazz clubs, which is, you get a very different kind of dynamic. And given that we have a wide age range of people, it's a nice atmosphere. Every concert we've done has been a fantastic atmosphere. But saying that, when we go home as well, we also like to create a good atmosphere on stage and get the people as excited. So in that respect, it's very much the same. But I suppose there's something about coming to the US and playing what is predominantly, or was predominantly, American music over here. So in that respect, it's a little different.
Well, I think you're going to very much enjoy the Sharon Morse Performing Arts Center. The people who live in the villages are from all over this country, and maybe even some from your country. And it just attracts so many people, and it's such a lively community. Robin and I have gone to a few events at the Sharon Morse Theater. So Sharon Morse Theater, right?
Performing Arts Center.
We've gone to a few of them, and it's always packed, and they're very vibrant. They're not young, but they're vibrant. They are alive as they were when they were 28.
That's what we want. We always try and we want to give the audience a good show. We want them to leave with a smile on their face. We want them to laugh at times, and that it's supposed to be fun music. So we want people to come and have a fun evening. I mean, we certainly do on stage, and that's pretty evident. There's a lot of sometimes a bit of laughter, and it's very relaxed atmosphere. But
Plus,
we really enjoy it.
Julian, it'll be warmer down here than it is upstate New York. Just letting you know.
Yeah, and I'm very much a warm weather person. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, I think I found some of the music that's more like what you're going to be playing. Let me just take a clip, see if I got it right. Julian Bliss is on the phone. He is he's one of the world's finest clarinetists. He has a group called the Julian Bliss Septet. The entire band is coming to the Villages, right?
Oh yeah, all 7 of us. We're all here as we speak.
Okay,
and have been for a while.
Let's see. This is "Don't Be That Way," Stomping at the Savoy. Let's see.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of it. Yeah, that's what I should have opened the show with right there. That's a pretty instrument, isn't it?
Very pretty.
I think I hear a marimba in there, Robin. Do I? Do I hear a marimba in there?
Vibes, I think.
Vibes?
Vibraphone.
No,
Yeah, vibes.
I don't know the difference. Robin's brother actually does that. Robin's brother. In fact, you guys might have crossed paths. He has worked with one of Benny Goodman's something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. He plays drums, but he also does those, what do you call them, vibes and
Vibes.
stuff? Yeah.
Vibraphone. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is so much fun. So you're going to be down in the Villages on the 27th at 7 p.m. I want to talk to you some more, but let's get some information. Do we get the tickets from the Sharon's website?
Yes, all the information is on their website. Alternatively, you can also find all the information on my website, which is julianbliss.com. So yeah, it's all out there.
And you're also going to do a second album.
We are, yeah. We have a new show, which is music of George Gershwin, one of the greatest American composers. And we've had a chance to... That's a fairly new show for us in some ways. We started it last year. We just had a concert the day before yesterday in Minneapolis, Orchestra Hall, with that program, and it's a huge amount of fun. So we're enjoying working on a new program at the same time as doing many of these Benny Goodman gigs.
And are you recording all of your concerts live that you do?
Sometimes you do tend to get a very different, a slightly different feel when you record live. Obviously, the one thing that is apparent is there's a level of risk involved in a live recording that you don't get in a studio. In a studio, you can go back and fix things. In a live recording, well, however you play, is pretty much what's going to end up on the disc. And you don't think about that when you're performing, but sometimes, because as musicians we feed off the energy of the audience, and the more they get into it, the more we do, and arguably the better that we play. And you just don't get that in a studio recording. So in that respect, it's a slightly different feel.
So how do it says here you have a Kickstarter account. So if I wanted to help you guys, is this to help fund the second album?
It is, yes, yeah. So we're hoping to raise some funds to help us record the second album. We've got a number of different kind of perks, if you like, and always adding to them at the same time. So yeah, it'll be amazing to get some.
So let me help. Let me see if I can go. I'm trying to go to the website that's on the flyer that was sent to us, but all it's doing is bringing me to Smart URL. Is that where I'm supposed to be?
Well, hang on, let me have a look myself. So on Kickstarter, if you
just go to Kickstarter, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and then if you were to use our name, the Julian Bliss Septet, then that would be. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think that'll be easier. Yeah, I don't know what that other one was. All right, it's probably I'm probably doing something wrong. Mm. Okay, so I'm at the. Oh, here it is. Okay, Julian Septet. Okay, there we go. Celebrating Gershwin, new album for the Julian Bliss Septet. There you go. Hey, that's us.
17% funded. Oh, we need to do better than that. Okay, all right. So, you only got 23 days to go.
Yeah.
You're not asking for a whole much. $4,000. That's it.
Yeah, it's essentially to help us with covering some of the fees for the guys.
Gotcha.
It's something like I've written a bit of a blurb about what we're going to do and what we're trying to accomplish from that. So yeah, there's a good bit of reading on there and some things on the side, the different pledges and the.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is the challenge of the studio compared to like when because if your career, you've been on a stage and you've got a conductor and now you're in a studio with 6 other musicians, is that a whole different animal, or is it kind of like the same thing?
In many ways it's the same thing. You're still performing, and I'm lucky enough to work with some of the best musicians that I could possibly find. I mean, these guys are phenomenal, doesn't come close. Every time I do a gig with these guys, my jaw is on the floor, and it really inspires me and pushes me to be better, which is a great feeling. And you get the same in the studio. Everyone always plays to the highest level possible. The only difference is that obviously you don't have an audience sitting in front of you. Mm-hmm. And in regards to the conductor, we're all, because it's a small group, you don't need someone to be. There is sometimes someone leading it, but if you listen, you can get what you need to from it, if you see what I mean. So because, like I say, I'm lucky enough to work with some of the best, it's a very easy and incredibly enjoyable process.
And did you and the other members of the band click in the very beginning when you formed this?
We did. You know, one of the biggest things that I guess I didn't necessarily think about in the beginning is how well we get on aside from the playing. Being on tour, you spend, this tour is over, I think, either 2 or 3 weeks, and you're spending pretty much all day, every day with these guys, with each other, and we get along so well. We're like a family. There's never a dull moment. We have lots of stories from tour, and that makes such a difference, because when we go on stage, we're all in a good place, we're all happy, and we're just going out there and enjoying ourselves. And I think the audience can pick up on that sometimes. Like I was saying, there's a lot of smiles, there's some laughter whilst we're on stage. And yeah, we're definitely kind of a family in some ways, which I love.
So I have 2 things. Something I want to tell you and something I want to ask you. When I was a kid, I'm a little bit. I'm 64, but I'm still too young for Benny Goodman. But my mom used to go to Benny Goodman in New York City. I grew up in New York, and so I was there with my son a couple of years ago. I said, "Let me show you where Grandma used to go to see her favorite recording artists at that time." And Sinatra and Benny Goodman and all of them, they would show up at the Paramount, mm-hmm. which is now the Hard Rock Cafe, and it's right in Times Square. It's sort of kind of adjacent to Times Square.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had heard that when Benny Goodman decided to start introducing singers into the band, it changed the whole flavor of the band, Sinatra being one of several singers. Did you ever hear that? And have you ever considered that for your own band?
We have thought about it in some ways. We've thought about adding other instruments as well. But there's something quite special about this particular lineup of instruments, in as much as, Benny Goodman and the swing era, there was a huge range. There was, of course, the big band sound, where you're talking 20 or so musicians. But there's also quite a lot of the small band stuff where you're, a trio or a quartet. And having 7 of us allows us to explore both sides, which is quite interesting. So there are times we play some of the well-known big band repertoire, for example, Sing, 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 which is one of the most famous tunes. And there's also times where we do some of the small band. And in some ways, because we've got something so good, in my opinion anyway, in terms of the people and the lineup and the way it sounds when we all play together, I kind of think, let's not mess with that. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to do some concerts at times with singers, or have them come and do a couple of tunes with us. But this is something for the future. We're always looking at new ideas and new things.
Does your bass player Tim? Does he play an upright bass?
Yes, yeah, he does.
Oh, okay, wonderful. I love those.
It's hard to take on the plane. Isn't that hard on the plane?
Well, luckily, and also the vibraphone is not the smallest instrument. So, well, luckily, every venue we go to, they provide those things for us. Because,
Oh, really? Oh, my God.
Otherwise, it would be incredibly difficult for us to travel with them. Clarinet's manageable, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like the circus. You have to get your own elephant. You just can't bring it on a plane. Julian, what an honor to speak to you. A pleasure to speak to you. Enjoy your visit to this country, and can't wait to meet you here in Florida. For those just tuning in, Julian Bliss is on the phone. He's one of the world's finest clarinetists. He has a band called the Julian Bliss Septet. They're going to be in the Villages at the Sharon L. Morris Performing Arts Center at 7 p.m. on February 27th. So if you want to go, you got to get the tickets from either the Sharon.com or from Julian's website, julianbliss.com, correct?
Yes, that's the one.
And it's a tribute to Benny Goodman, the show that you're doing here.
It is. It's we take a lot of those tunes that he made famous, and we kind of put our own little spin on it. So it should be a fun evening.
Julian, thank you. Be careful, and we'll see you when you get down here.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
In this moment, who has your back? Do you know the name of your insurance agent? Does your agent know your name? Or would you call a 1-800 number that connects you to who?